Welcome to the nation. I am your host, your president, your tour guide, Mr. Monster Mirago. I'm the landlord, the owner, tenant, the janitor. I'm out the damn floor. With you, if you don't follow the rules. The rules are you gotta like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell for all notifications, do all the things that it take to make a page pop. Yo, I don't like what I'm seeing going on out here, B. Snoop Dogg and Daz Dillinger, former group members, still group members, I guess. Family members, like literal cousins, not in the, not just in the creepy sense, in an actual related way. And they beefing over business. And I don't like it. Not one bit. Nope. I don't like it. Cause it's discouraging. Every time we see somebody, we get all of these examples promoted to us of where we see people who start out as friends and money get in the way. You know what I mean? And it's like, you start to think you can't build with your family. You can't build with your friends. You gotta build with strangers. And I don't like believing that. You know what I mean? But anyway, as the story goes, Daz he's been saying for a while, not for a while, but at least a couple of weeks, he's been talking about how, he's been talking about how him and Snoop already seeing eye to eye. He said Snoop kicked him off the label. Snoop has recently acquired Death Row and all of that. He said Snoop kicked him off the label. He was in the middle of an interview or whatever, and everybody laughing and joking, and son is carrying it light, but he not joking. He dead ass. He like, yeah, he's like, yeah, that's my cousin in real life. We go through it, whatever, blah blah blah. But this is one of those times, basically. And okay, so the first time I saw that, I saw that, I forget the platform he was on, but when I saw that clip, I'm like, okay, yeah, this ain't the first time him and Snoop have been at odds, publicly, but it ain't never turned into no big thing. You know what I'm saying? But it seemed like Daz is on a press run right now. I think he in New York. I'll be in New York soon. I would love to work with Daz again. You know what I'm saying? We could do some. Anyway, that's besides the point. He's in a lot of content, he's been talking about the situation with Snoop. Apparently, it's a situation where, Snoop reacquired Death Row, and he's doing all kind of business deals involving all of the content. All of the stuff that was made back in the days. Nothing, not the new stuff. Well, nothing from the future or nothing from the present, but all of the, the catalog of the heyday. And son is trying to sell off the whole catalog to, some rich folk, get a big bag, and I don't know what he's planning on doing with it. I don't know the whole plan, but I know the problem stems around that. Snoop wants to sell off the whole catalog. No, this is what Daz is saying. I don't know anything, but according to Daz, and my paraphrasing, Snoop's trying to sell off the whole catalog or something like that, and he wants Daz needs to sign his over. Daz has a certain amount. Daz has always spoke about ownership as well. Always been about his business. He's always, he ain't always been the most politically correct nigga. You understand what I'm saying? He ain't always been the friendliest nigga, the most, a cheerful, approachable type. You know what I mean? Son is a bit abrasive, but he knows his business, and I'm almost positive of that. You know what I mean? He ain't never showed us nothing different. So Snoop trying to sell off, if Snoop is trying to sell off the whole catalog, including Dash stuff, Daz is like, nah, I know what it's worth. That makes sense to me. You know what I mean? It makes sense to me. But the fact that it makes sense to me is what makes it hurtful. Because none of us like to see, as much as we clamor for the drama, and when I say we, I mean y'all, right? But as much as we clamor for the drama, nobody likes it. Like, everybody feels some type of negative when a group we all grew up on, or any friendship we saw, any relationship we saw that had value to us or whatever, it was dope. It was attached to some piece of history. I mean, let's just keep it specific, like a history. Our favorite rap group, nobody likes it when they breaks up. Never mind all of the generalizations. That specifically. No one's happy to hear that. You know what I mean? Now, when they break up and they start slinging mud and all that, we all engage. We all, make vlogs or content and so on and so forth. But don't none of us really want to see this to begin with, B. And it's just sad to me that, like, it makes me think of, not to compare Puffy to Snoop, right, or compare Snoop to Puffy, but a lot of what you learn in like the first episode of the Puffy documentary, the Reckoning that 50 just put out. I watched the whole thing last night, but specifically the first couple of episodes, a lot of what you learn is that Puffy learned the game from his elders. One being his mom's, another one being Andre Harrell, another one being Clive Davis. Like, they learned him these things, right? And like, they were playing a dirty game, and he learned the game through a dirty lens. You understand what I'm saying? It wasn't like, he knew he had to, like, it's like he knew he had to be cutthroat, or you think about a lot of the rappers who give their artists record deals or so on and so forth. You hear these stories like, yo, how you rob your peoples the same way the company robbed you? Because my hunch, my assumption, my theory, my hypothesis is that the company, the niggas who robbed you, made you believe that it was the only way to do it. That's just the way to do it. Ain't no other. This is standard. It's how you do this right here. You know what I mean? And that's how you could look your family member in the in the eyes with a straight face and give them a shady deal or something like that, or something like that. If you Google standard, like if you Google a record contract right now, if you know anything, if you know how to read, and your spirit is strapped in straight, you're gonna look at it, you're gonna be like, this is foul. But it's standard. You know what I'm saying? You gotta go ahead and make, you understand what I'm saying? Like, the going rate is a foul rate. You know what I'm saying? The standard is robbery. And if, like, your OGs taught you how to play this game a certain way, maybe that's the only way you know. I mean, that's the only grace I can give rappers who sign their homeboys and rob them. If they rob them. Maybe they either don't know they robbing them, or they just really don't think there's no other way than this lopsidedness that they be throwing in the contracts. I don't know. Let me know what y'all think. Snoop, Daz, work it out, please, y'all family. I would love it if a post just appeared with y'all dapping each other up, talking about, we worked it out, ain't none of y'all business what we talked about, but we talked about it. I would love that. You understand what I'm saying? But until then, you know what I mean? Monster, not monster. Helter Skelter, not Helter Skelter. That means it's an A in monster, no ERs. It's AH in Helter Skelter, no E's and R's. It's ROCK, unless you're a Crip, so you're a Crip. And it's BCC, not BBC. For crying out loud. Pause protesters, get your ass out of here. The rest of y'all.
Let's go. I'm one of the realest you ever gon' see. I ain't come here to lie to you. Niggas done with a lie to you. I get Beanie Siegel's first album, or Paul Pierce even, they got the truth. I'm sick and tired of you, you comical when I'm not in the mood for jokes. You are not a goon, not a shooter or a rider. You shoot off your mouth and you be riding dudes, cock for loot, dude, that's a prostitute.